I don't know why in my world everyone has been burned with sulfuric acid. Every character I seem to design has wraps of some type on their body. Maybe there's a dragon problem, or maybe everyone's just really, really careless with their curling irons. I don't know. Hello everyone on the internets. Welcome back to I'm Awful and You Can Be Too, episode 6. The only internet drawing show with a fortune-telling gypsy. And this episode is brought to you by the letter S for sleep deprivation. Be sure to check out www.ineedsleep.com or don't sleep for 24 hours to see what sleep deprivation can do for you. Now that the advertisements are out of the way, today we are coloring again. This time is sort of a special episode because today I get to make the rules for 35 original characters for a card game that I'm working on. I've talked a little bit before about Clip Studio Paint or Manga Studio 5 or the artist formerly known as Manga Studio, whatever the heck this program is called. We've talked a little bit about how awesome their brushes are. And today I get to explore them, and I'm going to challenge myself to explore them a little bit more, because today I have to figure out what I'm doing with all these characters. As you know, many artists probably have endured. I have to figure out the crossroads between maintaining their artistic integrity and complexity, and making sure that these are pieces that I'm proud of. And then, where that intersects with I have no goddamn time to do it. There are 35 of these characters. This is the cider seer. All of them are based on drinking puns. And I'm trying to get them done well, but also somewhat quickly, just because there's so many other components to this game that I have to do after 5 p.m. when I'm done doing my regular work. The struggle, that's the thing. If you guys are interested, there is a Kickstarter going on that I'm involved with right now. I'll put a link below, but it's for a deck of cards that have my art on them. I did all the artwork for the suits, all the artwork for the characters on the face cards and the ace cards. I'm not a huge D&D guy. I'm hesitant to say this because I don't want to scare anyone off, but I mean, there are rules for D&D that you can use. But at the same time, you could also use the cards just as easily for a game of hearts or gin rummy or whatever your grandma wants to play that, Thursday evening. So just coloring this now. I'm going to lay in the flats, just because I'm somewhat quick at that. Also, again, I've sped this up to about 300%. So if you want to know how long this actually takes me, go ahead and just take the duration of this video and, times it by 3. And then you can laugh about how slow I am at fucking coloring. I'm gonna go with, she has a gold brooch up here, not no weak ass silver one. But we'll get all these flats in. Color palette wise, I am a huge fan of the Fable video game series. I mean, they're okay games, but the art design, I buy the special edition book every time just so I can look at the artists and their process. Vibrant characters, very, very colorful. It's sort of Monty Python by way of Tim Burton, and I really enjoy it. So I use that as a rough reference. I'm sticking to reds and purples, except for a nice aquamarine skirt. That way it pops really nicely. So the fun thing about making rules today is I'm going to try out these brushes. I'm going to find the ones that don't piss me off or antagonize me while I use them, and see if I can figure out a quick but effective way to color these in a way that makes them look compelling, to challenge myself a little bit, but also because the last thing you want to do is color 35 characters in a boring style that you're used to, because then it truly is work. I'd much rather have try to grow a little bit as an artist, at least with my knowledge with the program, if not with the technique, you know, to see what sort of brushes I have available in this, and what kind of customization I can do. Sticking to reds and purples, except for a nice aquamarine skirt. That way it pops really nicely. There's her big flowy dress. Just rough this all in. I'm also giving myself free rein to color outside the lines and really disappoint my kindergarten teacher. In the same way we talked about making the rules for inking, you know, the same kind of pen, the same brush to make the whole series kind of cohesive. The coloring needs to be similarly approached. You know, you need to figure out, these are the brushes I'm using, these are the gauges of the brush, these are how many colors, this is how complex the textures and the patterns are going to happen. I've made a new layer here. Hair, I'm going to do 2 layers. I'm going to do the flats, I'm going to lay in the highlights for the individual strands, and then I'm going to, you know, when we do our overlay treatments with the brush, it'll blend nicely. Going to do a little topographical map pattern on her dress here, on the clothing. That's an important step for me this time. I feel the way I'm going to have a good time with these characters is I'm going to enjoy the patterns on the clothing, or, you know, the components that make up the clothes, as far as like fabric. Kind of cool. Again, I'm not caring about coloring inside the lines. I'm just going to go crazy and chop out later. We'll see how that goes. There's some seams here. Interesting. I don't know how this dress works, but that sells to me. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and just add some detail to this. Very much the same way we did in the cantina with the rock. Just going to add some details and then add a shadow layer. There we go, it's a little darker, that'll work. She's looking pretty good all around. I'm gonna grab this over here. Some patterns. This one has like diamonds. Really shitty, broken ass diamonds. Really nonsensical diamonds. Someday when I have more time, I'm gonna really learn how to contour to the creases in fabric. That's an important step, because right now I'm really just laying in a pattern unrealistically. Like, you could see where there should be bends and folds in that head wrap with the white lines, where they should bend out and fold in with the folds of the fabric. But F that, we're not doing that much detail. Not with 35. Not if I ever want to sleep again. Not today. So now I've added another layer. I've grabbed a mid kind of gray, and I'm using one of the watercolor brushes. I experimented a little bit with this, and I like it. It's not super pressure sensitive. I mean, and you get a little bit of mixing when you go in tight and you know, play loose. Go in tight and play loose. Is that what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Going in tight, playing loose. This is this fucking Top Gun. When you apply very little pressure, the tonality is greatly reduced. When you press harder, you get a thicker, darker stroke. I appreciate that about this brush. That's what I intended to convey. That's the right wording. Nice shadows. I can also play really fast and loose with this because I know that I'm going to be overlaying it, and over white, all that shit's going to just drop out, more or less. It takes a lot of the pressure off when you know that you're just going to slap it as an overlay layer. Give some of this particular particle stuff a little bit of a wash. Alright, let's overlay that. So, I like it. You know, it's a nice mid-range kind of differentiation. You're getting a nice little bit of hue. I'm going to go in now with the darker watercolor and really hit the shadowy parts, you know, like really break them out a little bit. This brush has a greater amount of paint. You know, the density of the paint's it's more concentrated brush, I guess is the correct way to put it. We'll accent them boobies a little bit. Yeah, so this will be, I'm also going to overlay this, and it should multiply well with the other layer. So that maybe that's another rule I'm establishing this time, if people like how this looks. You know, a wide, watery kind of watercolor wash, and then a distinctive darker shade on top of it to really break out the shadowy portions. and obviously the highlights when we get to that part. There. Get her other arm here underneath her burned forearm. Or maybe just everyone's one, like, 16th ninja. Maybe that's what's going on. Any sort of martial arts skill, you have to show it by wrapping an appendage in toilet paper? I don't know. Let's go to overlay. Hit the amounts a little bit. Now I'm just doing the same thing with the same brush, going in with the highlights. Pretty good time here. Make sure the bridge of that nose. The light is coming from the top right again, as always. I don't know why that's my default thing. I'm left-handed. If someone wants to do a study, I'm left-handed, so the sun's always on my left shoulder in my world. Someday I'll do one where the sun is setting. Maybe someday I'll even do a whole scene. There's a freedom in being really sketchy with this, and I'm hesitant to get too comfortable with it. But when you're just overlaying color layers, it actually looks okay. So, yeah. If you guys are, if this is interesting to you all, please, or you have any tips. I'm doing this for you guys, but also I am more than happy to take any advice or pointers to other tutorials. If you want to share your artistic input, feel free to do so in the comments. Yeah, I'd appreciate it, because, I mean, the goal is for all of us to get better here, and I'm just using myself as a guinea pig, mostly. Just some levels. Clean that up. She's a little too Charlton Heston, so I needed to go in and soften up that chin. So next up, I'm going to have some fun with the VFX sort of approach. Go flat. This brush I found has a really fun wedge to it, and I've gone underneath the other ones, and I'm filling in the aura around this golden apple. Is it a golden delicious, or is it Granny Smith? I don't know my apples, but this one seems really important. So it's going to be glowing in that Indiana Jones Pulp Fiction briefcase sort of way. It's a little too loud though, so I'm going to break up the edges here with a more dispersed spray paint kind of brush. Tonal scraping, that sounds unpleasant. Tone scraping. Right. I'm liking that. Again, I selected the outside line of my my area with the wand, and I'm just deleting all the spill I had when I was coloring. Not quite done here. I'm going to go in with this real quick. This brush is the flat oil paint brush again, and I'm just adding refracted light, or reflected, or to highlights to where, you know, she's so close to that shimmering apple that it makes sense that it would reflect onto her body a little bit. It's a little, I mean, it takes 2 seconds, and it really adds a lot of, you know, punch to your drawing. So I would recommend, you know, have fun with your lighting gags, you know, your practical lights. I'm gonna do a soft light there, and that brings it about perfect. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for checking out this most recent episode. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have a fantastic Friday, and I'll see you guys later.